accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this regular meeting of the Board of Adjustment of the Township of Franklin has been provided. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Betterbid?
Here.
Ms. Grauman? Mr. Johnson? Mr. McCracken? Mr. Rich?
Here.
Mr. Shepherd? Mr. Caldwell?
Here.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Here.
Mr. Reese?
Yep.
Mr. Regalo?
Here.
Chairman Thomas?
Here. Minutes of the regular meeting, March 2nd, 2017. Do we have a motion?
I move to accept it. Second.
Mr. Caldwell? Oh, he's not here. Hey, you're here.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Mr. Caldwell, Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Mr. Reese?
Yes.
Chairman Thomas?
Yes. Resolutions, Montauk Transit Service, LLC, ZBA 16-00035. Need a motion and a
I
second.
move to accept the resolution. Second.
Mr. Betterbid?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Chairman Thomas?
Yes. 50 Atrium Drive, ZBA 17-00006.
Move to accept. Second.
Mr. Betterbid?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Chairman Thomas?
Yes. We can do these collectively, correct?
Yes.
Okay, we have some vouchers, all resolution preparation. Wilson, 315, Chenard, 227.50, Rooks, Cedar Grove Lane Partners, 297.50, Doublestone Holdings, 420, DeGoyas, 227.50, Chakowski, 227.50, and Wilson, Keith Wilson, 280, all for, on behalf of the attorney, Mr. Bradshaw. Is there a motion to approve?
I move that we make payment to Mr. Bersher.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Ananda Mandir, under the hearing section, ZBA 45-00024, an amended site plan with use variance and appeal in which the applicant is seeking to amend the use variance and the preliminary and final site plan approval to add second-floor living quarters at 369 Cedar Grove Lane, Somerset, Block 508.02, Lot 5.02 in the R40 zone. Carried to May 4th. No public notification needed, but individual notification is needed. 101 Metlers Road, ZBA 16-00036, use variance in which the applicant seeks to increase the square footage of the school by 11,500 feet to construct a gym at 101 Metlers Road, Somerset, Block 511, Lot 1.02 in the ROL zone.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Peter Lanford appearing on behalf of the applicant. If the board recalls, we appeared on December 15th, 2016 and January 5th, 2017 to present an application to use approximately 90-some thousand square feet of an existing building at 101 Metlers for a charter school. As part of that application, we had requested to construct a new 11,500 square foot gymnasium to the right side of the building in the vicinity of a pipeline. The board at the first hearing asked us to look at alternative locations. We did look at some locations for a new gymnasium as an addition to the building. We came back in January. We reported back to the board that we did not think that any of the exterior locations, new exterior locations, would work, and asked for the approval of the use variance in January without the gymnasium. If the board further recalls, in January of 2017, testimony was proffered by Mr. O'Brien, a licensed professional planner, in which he indicated that the charter school that we are proposing is an inherently beneficial use, and we are here tonight to ask approval to increase the square footage of the school by that same 11,500 square feet. We are going to locate the gym internal to the building. I, as part of the submission, very briefly to refresh the board's recollection, submitted the plans that we submitted originally as far as the site plan, which shows the entrance to the subject property on Metler's Road, and actually now shows the entire bus circulation, parent parking, drop-off, and everything that we agreed to. These plans have been submitted to the township, and actually work is ongoing in the interior of the building. I do have an architect to just review what we are proposing as far as the gymnasium and its location within the building. As the board may recall, at the first two hearings, Mr. Feldman, David Feldman testified. He is not available this evening, so one of his colleagues, Mr. McQuarrie, will be proffering the testimony this evening. I would like to call Mr. McQuarrie. Remain standing.
Okay, just make sure the microphone's on for me.
Check.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right, if you raise your right hand for me, solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Can you spell your last name for the record?
MC, capital C-O-R-R-Y.
Mr. McQuarrie, you can have a seat.
Thank you.
Mr. McQuarrie, what is your occupation?
I'm an architect.
And can you give the board the benefit of your educational and professional background?
My educational background, I have a degree in architecture from the College of Architecture, Art and Planning, Cornell University, and I am licensed and registered to practice in the state of
Hey,
New Jersey.
that's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We won't ask them to produce the license like some people in other meetings.
One of the two did, if you remember.
True.
Yeah.
It's actually in my wallet if we need it. So,
See? Look.
Mr. McQuarrie, as I indicated, you have had an opportunity to review the plans that were prepared by Mr. Feldman as part of the original application and the plan that is before the board this evening. Is that correct?
that is correct, sir.
And we have on the board an exhibit, and I guess we should mark it. I've marked the exhibit as A1, which is part of the plan set that was submitted in conjunction with this application by Mr. Feldman and is sheet 2 of the plan set. And Mr. McQuarrie, sheet 2 of the plan set basically shows the original approved first floor of the subject building, correct, plus the gymnasium. Is that correct?
This is the modified.
So A2 is, which is sheet P2 of the plan set, shows the first floor of the school as previously approved with the gym appended to it, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And what is the size of the gym?
The addition is 11,500 square feet.
Okay, and in addition to, as we show on, it's showing a basketball court. There are also locker room facilities and also seating available. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And what is the approximate seating capacity of that gymnasium?
320 persons.
Okay. And the gym, besides being used for athletic events, can be used for other multi-purpose functions?
That is correct.
Okay. In order to fit the gymnasium, the existing structure where the gym is proposed was a former location of a warehouse or warehouse space. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And the owner of the building will have to raise the roof in order to accommodate a gymnasium.
That is correct.
And by raising the roof, will he still be under the zone requirements for the height within the zone?
Yes, he'll be well under the maximum height.
Okay. And you had an opportunity to review the old gymnasium plan when the gymnasium was located near the pipeline, and the gymnasium that we are proposing this evening is essentially the same as the old gymnasium. Is that correct?
That is correct.
No further questions.
Any board questions? We'll open to the public if and when you finish with the One, right?
I don't, the principal's here, but I don't believe there's any need for me to call him, so I'm not going to call any other witness.
All right, we'll open to the public then, if there's anyone who wants to make a statement or ask this witness a question concerning his testimony. Then we'll close to the public.
Just one thing for the record, Mr. Chairman. There will be a pad and perhaps a sidewalk or something that may be required due to the egress. What we're recommending, because they have to work that out with our construction department, they're way under any impervious, and it's only going to be for the code requirement that the board would have the TRC approve that at a later date. It'll be a pad and/or a little sidewalk that we'll have to have for the access. That it'll be a code issue that hasn't been worked out yet. We would recommend that the TRC would do that instead of having come back to the board for something that's only required because of the code.
Well, something about parking, is that all? That's all worked out?
Yeah. You have the March 28th report of the Technical Review Committee?
I do. Put my finger on it, but yeah, we have.
The board, in your packet, the board has the, you get to see the sausage being made to a degree. What the board was actually provided was the, what we call the compliance report that staff puts together after you approve it. The applicant had submitted revised plans, so you get to see how we beat up on the applicant if they don't address your comments 100% correctly. So the report that you have before you, you can be guaranteed that the conditions that you imposed on the previous approval, we make sure that they comply with them. TRC, the Technical Review Committee, did do a new report on this application, and the comments really are, because the application is relatively straightforward, the comments are relatively straightforward. The one asked that the applicant explain proposed access to the gymnasium, and you'll have to excuse me if I missed it, but I had to go out to print this out.
Okay.
It says, it is assumed that visitors would park in the main lot and access the gymnasium through the school via the main entrance, and visitors arriving by bus, for example, opposing teams, would arrive and be dropped off via the ring road. The applicant should confirm.
That
So
is-
can you address that?
That is, well, all guests coming to an athletic event or to use the gymnasium will park at the parking lot. Depending on the nature of the event, if it's a small bus, it may be that the small bus may pull into the parking lot, and then even the participants can come in through the main entrance rather than the ring road. Obviously, if it's a large bus, we will use the same ring road for bus drop-off. I think that'll be up to the discretion of the school. I mean, if you have a bus with 10 kids coming into it, you may not want to have to open up, you may not want to have another door opened up and have everybody come in through the main entrance.
The board have any comments or questions on that question, that issue? The other question was, and Vince just spoke about that briefly, a door has been provided allowing direct egress from the gymnasium. The applicant should confirm whether this door is intended for emergency purposes only. If not restricted to emergency use only, if not restricted to emergency use only, a connection to the sidewalk along the bus drop-off area should be provided.
It is going to be an emergency egress, and if it needs to be connected, if construction or TRC requires a connection to the other sidewalk, we'll do it. We'll work that out with TRC, or it may be just a pad.
In my understanding, if it's for emergency egress
Yeah.
only, there has to be a pad of a certain size.
Right.
Our comment was if this was going to be used for people to access the gym,
Right.
they need to provide that pedestrian connection from the sidewalk.
That's correct. And we still may provide that connection anyway.
Okay. And then there is a comment about the parking, that your site plan needs to clarify and correct up some of the parking requirements.
Those are notes on the plan.
You're adding the gymnasium back,
Right.
so you need to include that in the parking calcs.
I will have Mr. Stires make the new calculations.
I have one sort of, I don't know, philosophical question, I guess. Since this is it's, I guess, technically a public school supported by public funds, is there any possibility or plans that this, and since this is also now, as far as the gym goes, significantly different facility, that it could be potentially made available to recreation or different groups, as the regular public schools often do, with a policy and guidelines for public use?
It is possible, Mr. Thomas.
Okay,
Oh, let me just
Thank
add to that. The Township Recreation Department regularly uses school gyms for the township programs. So you're saying that that's possible if, on nights that you don't use your gym?
I am sure if the township contacts the charter school would be more than willing to accommodate and work with the township.
Okay, I'll let Alice know that.
okay, any other questions? Anything anybody needs? Entertain a motion.
I do have one question, and forgive me. But one of the things was the pipeline that was close to the school. Is that correct? The gas pipeline?
Well, under the original application, they needed a variance because the gymnasium was going to be built, was going to be an addition.
Very close to it.
And it was going to be within the required, the township has a requirement that it be set back 100 feet, and they were within that 100 feet. The board, based on, basically the comments that the applicant was getting at that hearing, the applicant basically rescinded that part of their application. The board approved it without the gymnasium. It was understood at the time, at that hearing, that they were likely going to be coming back to fit a gymnasium somewhere in the building, but they weren't able to do that analysis during that prior review. So they have to come back today. This is basically their revised submittal, and their gymnasium is entirely within the existing footprint of the existing. So the setback variance does not apply.
Gotcha.
They don't need a variance for that setback from the gas pipeline anymore.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Move that we approve 101 Metlers Road LLC ZBA 16-00036 with, as presented, and with adherence to all the notes,
I'll second.
requirements by the township professionals.
I'll second.
Mr. Betterbid?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Mr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Mr. Reese?
Yes.
Ms. Brigala?
Yes.
Chairman Thomas?
Yes, I think it's a better plan, better for the township and better for the school.
I think we all agree, and I do thank you for being so staunch in your position that we not put it where it was, but
Stubborn?
Mr. Chairman, just before we leave, I have to announce that I've taken a new position in the town as the Economic Development Director, so I won't be sitting up here anymore. I will be coming back when we have economic development projects, so I can go sit up at the mic and plead with you to approve those. But I won't be sitting up here anymore because it's somewhat of a conflict for me to be working with someone on a daily basis and then up here and, talking to the board about that, so.
Congratulations, Vince.
And on behalf of the board and myself personally, I want to thank you for your service. I think you and Mark have made a terrific team, and I think the town in the last several years has really made some very positive, significant gains in terms of development and growth, and I think you've been a very integral part of it. I look that your new position probably gives you even a better opportunity to do some of the same things, but thanks for your help and
Thank you.
assistance and hard work.
Congratulations, Vince.
I second that.
Yeah, who's going to take your place?
Miss Vince.
Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion to close.
So move.
A second?
I'll second it.
Meeting adjourned.